Today I have Tommy Mello on. Now, Tommy has built a business that is doing over 50 million in EBITDA. Started it himself, grew it through expansion, and decided not to do it the franchise route. And so I thought it'd be real helpful to have somebody like him that can speak to building a large business as an entrepreneur that is outside of franchising and how he's built the team and grew a garage door business into an empire. So enjoy the show with Tommy.
Representing Franchise Secrets, Eric Von Horn.
Tommy, good to see you, man.
I'm glad to be here.
You're not a franchise guy, but you built something big, something special. And I think there's a lot that franchisees and franchisors can learn from you. And I was actually talking to Dan Claps, a buddy of mine that ran into you recently, and and he was talking about you. I'm like, dude, I know Tommy. And so he's in franchising. I think what you have to share with the franchising audience will help them probably, maybe even more than having some of these amazing franchisors or big franchisees on. So why don't you give the audience like a 60 seconds or a cliff notes of like where you started and where you are today in a global overview, and then let's get into it.
Tommy Mello, probably the largest failure of any business guy ever to exist. Luckily, I keep falling forward. Born and raised in Michigan, Sterling Heights. Mom and dad got a divorce when I was 7. Mom worked 3 jobs. What do you do when you're in Detroit and the family needs money? You mow lawns and shovel snow. So it wasn't like this bad life. I don't want anybody to think we were like, I just learned to work at an early age. Mom was there. Dad cared. Then when I was 16, I ended up moving to Phoenix. My dad migrated over there in 96. I came in 99. I got my mom out here in 2010 to help the garage door business. So A1 garage door service. I started painting garage doors for a roommate of mine that managed a company in 2005. And he said, if you get really good, you can paint 2 doors a day. And I got to the point where I was painting 10 doors a day, Saturdays and Sundays. Knock out $1,000 a day. That's what I was making. I was buying and selling Bowflexes, Total Gyms, cars, bartending at night, going through school. And then as I meet with these garage door guys, they kept handing me samples, telling me how much they made a day. So me and my other roommate, of course, young and naive, started a garage door business, made every mistake, got in the yellow book when they were going out of business. In 2010, I just decided I was working too hard. I was a hustler. I was hustling at 10 things, not focused. Got my mom and stepdad to move out, told my roommate, my buddy, my best friend, roommate, and business partner, worse than a divorce, that I couldn't do it anymore. I said, you can keep the business, but you take the debt or I'll take it. And he's like, you could have it. And so I got pretty serious, ended up getting a master's degree. 2014, met a really, really smart guy named Adam Cronenberg. He was my integrator. 2010, I needed trust. So that's my mom and stepdad. And at least they showed up. Like, they're really great people, but they're not home service people. But I trusted them, and they did me right. And then 2017, heard about this, my 5th CRM, heard about ServiceTitan that wouldn't let me on. I talked to the founder and was able to convince him to let a garage door company on. He sent out 10 product success managers, and Adam got super involved. We built the price book. That took off. Met a consultant. I was doing 17 million. Basically, he told me I was a loser and he needed to work with me. He didn't say I was a loser. He just said, your business has no structure, no systems. You don't have an org chart. You don't have a manual. You don't have SOPs and checklists. And so he started working with me. His name's Al Levy, the 7-power contractor. Changed my life. Best consultant I've ever worked with. And then he said, Tommy, your brand is crappy. You need to go see Dan Antonelli with Kick Charge. So at 40 million, I redid my brand, redid the logos, everything. And then got the business to north of 25 million of EBITDA and decided I needed a sponsor to come on. So I partnered with Cortec. It's an amazing PE firm. Got an amazing amount of money off the table, but that wasn't my goal. I just needed money to grow. I needed a checkbook to go buy companies. And so right now we're buying a building. We've, in the last 15 months, we've doubled our EBITDA, which, you know, as far as what I see out there, there's no one, and this is a testament to the team. There's no one doing what we're doing. And everybody says that, and they say, we're the best marketers and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, the proof's in the pudding, the proof's in the financials. We get audited financials. We just went through our audit. I met with the head of the audit. You know, we do a Big Four bank, and they make sure there's no fraud or anything. You know, they got to meet with me. But the business is killing it. I started a family office. We're investing in things that, for me, passive, because A1's my baby. I still own half the company. And, you know, started taking care of myself. I want to live a long time. I want to be cognizant. I want to be aware. I want to be all there. Bought my dream house, expanding on that. And then bought another house in Idaho that's going to be our summer house. And I don't have kids. I'm not married. I know this is a lot of the 60 seconds, but, you know, the next thing for me is probably looking more towards starting a family. And, yeah, I mean, listen, I love Mondays. I love my job. I love the people I work with. I built the dream job. And now I'm getting my personal life organized with the stuff I learned from Al and Dan Martell. Is now there's manuals. I got, you know, the driver, two housekeepers, the chef. Like, it's crazy the life that we're building. But we're taking all this business side and putting it to personal. And my goal is just to be 100 times more efficient. You know, Elon Musk has the same amount of hours as me and you have. He just has great people around him and great systems. So that's the story.
Dude, that's a great story. There's so much in there. And I'm glad you gave the detail that you did, because it gives an audience who doesn't know you kind of perspective. If some people have seen you online, they might think like, oh, he's an online influencer, because I know that you're doing more online with cameras and content and all of that. But there's a difference between someone that's built a big business, 25 million EBITDA, 50 million EBITDA, and somebody that has a camera following them around. You talk about, well, we'll shout out to Dan Martell in his book, Buy Back Your Time, showing it on camera here. It's a great book. I know you're a big book guy. So, and it's very, very tactical and practical. So I think all business owners should be reading that book or listening to the book. But the question is, would you have been able to do some of the things that you're doing today to buy back your time, focus on health and different things like that before you brought on that partner? Like, because I know it's done some things in your business to free up capital and time and different things. But is there anything that you would have been like, you go back 3 years ago and like, Tommy, you should be doing this today?
You know, I think your life goes through seasons. And there's a good book by Dan Thurman called Off Balance on Purpose. And I never believed in balance. I believe there's seasons of life, and sometimes it's family, sometimes it's religion, sometimes it's personal. I was not ready. Most people are not ready for the kind of money I got deposited in my account on December 24th, Christmas Eve, 2022. It was unfathomable. It was like crazy. And I think a lot of people go broke, and then you don't trust people. You live in this arena that you just don't know who you could trust, but that's zero for me. I tell people all the time, it's impossible to not know that I'm doing good. I mean, every single one of my people, my coworkers, they come to the house. I don't hide anything. I've got nice cars. They see the stuff. I don't hide it, but I never have to feel there's so many people that live this guarded shell that they don't know who they could trust. And I'm glad that didn't happen to me. And, you know, if I talked to 3 years old Tommy, I would have said, there's no regrets these next 3 years. Do everything that you're going to do, because I have, and yes, there's little things like running a red light and getting a photo ticket that I never paid. They didn't serve me, but Yeah, ultimately, there's no regrets. I would have done things the exact same way. I had an equity incentive program. 25 people walked out millionaires, some of them over 10 million. I gave 20% of the company away to the people that helped me come up. And when the time came, I fulfilled my promise. No regrets. So, and right now I'm doing it's not equity incentive anymore. It's profit units. And all the way down to the technician level, 25 guys have equity in the company, technicians. So yes, my life is, I really, really love everything. I mean, I know this sounds cliche and yeah, there's people that say that on camera, but I'm building a life intentional, and it's not perfect. I work a lot. I travel a lot, but, I'm working with Dan Martell, and he said, design your life in reverse. Let's pretend you're 75. What kind of plane did you buy? What color was it? What do the seats look like? When you went to Italy, who'd you go with? What does Monday look when you're 43? I'm 41 right now. Is this next level of life, it's got to be intentional. It's got to be manifested. And so, I have a lot of consultants. I work a lot with Joe Polish, Andy Elliott, Jeremy Miner. I have a lot of, I have 2 speaking coaches. I'm the dumbest guy in the room. I ask for help all the time. And I know this is a long-winded answer from what you asked, but I don't have a lot of regrets, and I don't think I would have done it any different.
Attention, franchisors and franchisees. There are 2 really important resources that I want to share with you that will help you avoid costly mistakes and increase your enterprise value. The first is our free Facebook group. It's a community that has over 4,000 franchisees and franchisors in it. When somebody asks a question, they get honest and authentic answers from multiple perspectives. You can join the group for free over at franchisesecrets.com/Facebook. The second resource I want to share with you is if you're a franchisor and you're frustrated that you're not awarding as many franchises as you thought you would, this is the reason I created the Franchisor Mastermind. If you want access to the information, the techniques that the best franchise sales organizations are using to award franchises, and you want what mature brands have with their playbook of having happy, successful franchisees that grow the right way, then you might want to check out the Franchisor Mastermind. The reason why people join is they want access to my Rolodex, my connections. They want the playbook to achieve both short-term and long-term success. They want to increase enterprise value in their brand. Links will be in the show notes or at scalablefranchise.com. And I can say, you and I are both very similar to that. Very comfortable being the dumbest guy in the room. Want to be the guy asking questions, because you and I were in San Diego together in those types of rooms, asking questions and not pretending we had all the answers. And when you're around smart people, you have that opportunity to try to pretend you're smarter than them, or just to sit back and ask really good questions and improve yourself and get, shortcuts to your business. And I know some of the guys that you mentioned, but not all of them. But yeah, I'm a huge believer in that. All right. So why didn't you franchise? There's a franchising podcast, man. Why didn't you franchise?
Yeah, well,
and you can be very open about that too, Tommy. Just because this is a franchising podcast, there are reasons why people should not franchise, and they should build something big like you did in your type of way. So just curious.
I was pretty deep down a structure with a plan. Hindsight, I'm not a franchise guy. I don't know a lot about it. I think I could murder it at a franchise today, but I was already in 17 states and I bought 4 books on franchising. And I talk to a lot of people. That's what I do. I'm the first. I don't go in the wrong direction. If I'm going off course a little bit, unlike my dad and my grandpa, they would go 10 miles down the wrong direction before they said they were wrong. I just asked a million questions of franchisors, and they said, no longer are you in the garage door business the day you franchise. You're in the people business. People expect a turnkey. They want systems, standard operating procedures. It's got to run like the E-Myth. And, I was so far down this organic greenfield growth. Now that I've learned a lot about franchising, I think it's a great opportunity. But, I know a lot of guys like Mosquito Joe's. I spent a lot of time with Kevin Wilson. Like, I know I just spent time. I spoke at Authority Brands, spent a lot of time. I was just at a company that owns 10 franchises for Neighborly. Know the guys that sold Precision in Tampa, really good friend of mine, Jim Rapp. It's a whole different ball game. And now that I know 7 power contractor manuals and how to build a website and build the marketing, I mean, hindsight, what I know now, I mean, I see myself in the franchise world. And there's a lot of more regulatory things. There's a lot of things that get around that prevent rapid growth. And I think everybody goes, I'm going to franchise. I got this great idea. And I'm like, so you must be in 3 markets. You must own market share. You must be super, you own all the market share. You've got all the systems that you could just set this stuff down. You teach people how to recruit, how to market. The only reason to franchise is because I need somebody in that market. I'd be very picky. Out of every 100 people that applied, I'd hire maybe 1. Like, everybody's like, I'm gonna franchise because that they pay me and then I get to make a percentage. No. It's never that easy. If it was that easy, why are there the same amount of franchises every year? Because there's so many getting in every year, but so many failing. And it's just, I had a dime for everybody that came in my shop during the shop tours, I said, I'm just going to franchise. And I'm like, because you can't self-fund. You have no money. Your business is making how much revenue? $2 million. And that's revenue. Your bottom line better be 25%. Oh no, we're at 7. Then you can't franchise. It's like the lazy man's way. Yes, the best franchisors in the world are amazing. They murder it, but they're very picky. You go to franchise. You try to be a franchise at McDonald's, you got to go through training. You got to have a lot of money. You got to go work at McDonald's for a couple of months. I mean, it's all systems. So for me in the future, I think I really think it's an opportunity. But right now, my main obligation is the company invested in me, CoreTech. They have limited partners. Some of them are pension funds. Some of them are unions and retirees. And I'm going to deliver my promise and give them an amazing ROI because that's what I said I would do. And after that, we'll see.
I mean, I was going to leave all that in until you got like franchising is the lazy man way. So we'll have to edit all of that out now. No, teasing. Yeah, what you said, like
9 out of 10 of them just say I'm going to franchise without a plan, without a structure, without the right things.
Jeff and I, my business partner at Front Street, we always tell people, we get on the phone with them, we have those same conversations with people, and we say the first rule of franchising is don't franchise your business. Here's all the reasons you should not be franchising your business. And undercapitalized, just in one market, and then the other one is like you are going from your industry being the expert in garage doors or whatever that industry is to getting out of that industry, and now you're in the people business, like you said. So, and now you have to be responsible for helping them be successful. That's the business that you're in. And you're not in full control of everything either. Like you have to help them, and that's all you can do. I love it, man. That's good. All right. So you've gone from grinding in the business, probably, the garage door installs. I mean, you've kind of touched every aspect of that business. What are the big buckets that you've gone through from, the installer to the manager, to the district operational guy, to the CEO, to board of directors? How would you describe that journey?
I think you start out as the worker, and it's sweat equity. And a lot of people, what they do is they divest. They go, I'm going to buy a boat because we deserve a boat. We're going to buy a Harley. My buddy's flipping houses, so I'm going to take the money that I poured all this work, this sweat equity, then it's finally hitting success, the one thing that's killing it. And I'm going to go do these side hustles. And what I could tell people right now is you continue to put the money back in and it multiplies. My favorite word in the dictionary is arbitrage. And my favorite 3 letters are ASK, ask. But what I would tell you is without me growing, reading books, without me going on shop tours and asking questions, I would still be installing doors. I am a normal guy. I'm not super smart. I would say my EQ is higher than my IQ. And I'm just always asking questions and growing. And there's an evolution. And I had Ken Goodrich on my board. He sits in this big board seat. And he says to everybody on my team, all my C-suite, he goes, guys, I've never seen anything like Tommy Mello. He calls me up at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night. The dude is podcasting. He's going to events. He's reading 4 books a week. I looked at his Audible account. I've never seen anything like it. He's gets more consulting than anybody. And he goes to everybody in that room, he goes, listen, guys, if you're not going to grow for 20 hours a week on top of your full-time job, he looks at me, he goes, Tommy, I need you to fire these guys. He goes, because they're not going to keep up with you. He goes, you're going to outgrow them. And they're, you're not going to like it because you're going to grow so much. And then he calls me up later that day and goes, was I a little harsh? I go, kinda. But that deal is like, I'm always trying to continue to improve. And there was layers of the business that I had to work to understand them at a deep, deep level. And I'm a marketing guy first, second sales. And I say, I'm all about the culture. Like the technicians run the company, the technicians and installers, the guys out in the field, we all work for them. But, it's pretty nice because the first thing I did when I got really, really in depth to the business is built an org chart, and I circled the things that I hated because I didn't like going into work because I couldn't stand payroll and dealing with legal shit. And I didn't like dealing with the price book and all the crap and the reporting. And I never liked the CFO side of things and the HR side of things. So I decided to go all in on marketing and sales and culture, and that was my lane. And I had really good people that enjoyed the other things. And that changed everything. No longer did I, have nightmares at night and pull my hair out. And, there were times I walked out of a movie theater 10, 12 years ago to go run a job at, 9 at night. There were times that the phone rang at 1 a.m. No one else would run them. I'd go run them. I've had every job, and I know what it's like. So people respect me a little bit more because I've been in their shoes.
How do you inspire or require people to have that, probably the culture of learning? And you have a great Facebook group, and tell people about the Facebook group. But you're always talking about the books that you're reading, what you're learning. But how do you get that down to the technician level or the leadership level to have that same passion or desire to learn or read?
My COO will tell you. So the Facebook group is Home Service Expert. We talk a lot in there. Free group on Facebook. And my podcast turns out it's number 13 in the country for business, and it's a home service podcast, the Home Service Expert. But when I started bringing people with me to all the events and showing them that I brought an empty spiral notebook and that I actually took the knowledge and applied it. But I'm not a got a minute, got an idea, read a new book, we're changing everything. I was in the beginning. I'm like, oh guys, EOS, we're gonna restructure, we're gonna get on this. It was like crazy. And they're like, great, what did he read today? Typical visionary ADHD. But when I started bringing them with me and putting books on their desk with a $100 bill and saying, we're gonna cover this book, please read it. And when I started doing a book club, with the senior management all the way down to the tech level, the CSRs were involved, the dispatchers. What I realized is they got a taste of what I felt. They were like, whoa, now I know what Tommy's doing. A lot of owners and founders go out there to all these events, and then someone makes a mistake. I let them make mistakes. I don't care if they lose $100,000, as long as they don't make the same mistake twice. So for me, it's been a learning experience, but I need to let everybody else have a taste of what I was doing. A lot of people are like, they want it all, and they don't want to share. I brought 22 people to the last Service Time event when everybody else brings 2. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, now I know what you mean. And I'm like, where do you want to go? What education do you want? What books do you want? I'll pay for it. What do you want to get more efficient in? And so we are always investing. Who do you need a consulting from? What do you need to, I just had a meeting with my C-suite. I was like, who do we need to hire next that can help you? Because we're going on this journey together. And I want to do something that no one's ever done. Take a $27.5 million EBITDA and 4X it in 3 years. Because there's capital gains treatments. PE usually holds for 3 years. That's not that common in this economy. I got to get 108 million. 108 to 110 million of EBITDA. And I'm trying to do it in 3 years, and I'm 15 months in. So I got to get these guys super smart and ready for battle. And I'm ready to go to war. Ray Kroc said, when your enemies are drowning, stick a hose in their mouth. And I'm kind of sticking a fire hose in everybody's mouth. Although I do like competitors. They drive me forward.
You said who do you need to hire next to some of your to like who do you say that to, and like what was the response, and like why even go to them and say who do you need to hire next? Like it shouldn't be like what are you going to be working on next? Why who?
Well, I read a book, Who Not How. Dr. Benjamin Hardy. He's a good buddy of mine. And, Jim Collins wrote another book, Built to Last, and it's about getting the right people on the bus. The people decide how fast we're going to go. I'm really kind of a catalyst when it comes to marketing. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm marketing for clients. What a mistake. What a mistake is that? Because if you look at the variance between my top performers and bottom performers, I need to be marketing for the best people. I was listening, I met Nick Saban, and I said, what was more important, the player's skill or their will? And he says, good question, both. He goes, if you don't have talent, you'll never be good. But he goes, Tommy, I was a great football coach, but I'm a better recruiter. So I think that's what it's all about is now when I build companies, I build them, I get the top CFO, the top COO. I get the right people that have been where I want to go. And, these guys, I watch them. I literally watched my COO work for an 80-hour work week. 40 hours of that was building pivot tables and looking at data. So what did I do? I invested hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in Power BI to aggregate the data and have these at the push of a button. I watched all these people working on email, text messaging, follow-up, rehash, customer notifications, sending invoices out. So I invest, we did a very, very big investment in Chirp that automates all of these things. I watched that my technicians never were working. Like I could check the calls for my CSRs and listen in on them, but I never really had a way other than ride-alongs to watch my technicians and their performance. So I got RillaVoice that listens to every single call in the field, and of ride-alongs. Game changer. I happen to be a technology company that does garage doors now. I would tell you 15 years ago, I was a garage door company. Now we're a technology company that happens to do garage doors.
When did that realization kind of happen? Because I think a lot of that happens to a lot of businesses. They realize like, oh, I'm not what I thought I was. I'm actually a technology company that installs garage doors. Like when did that realization really kind of cement itself?
I don't think the world was ready for the software was not ready. I mean, Uber couldn't have existed 25 years ago. The network effect with the phone doesn't work unless other people have a phone. People weren't ready to book online. So when the shift of technology, COVID was really the time where I realized, man, we could do a national call center. The day COVID happened, I said, everybody, you don't have to be at work. Check out the computer. We got you nice headsets. You're all on performance pay. Didn't skip a beat. Now I've got a call center with 75 agents all over the country in every time zone. And COVID was the incubator of all this. We're in 23 states right now. With the technology, I know I've got dual cameras in every vehicle. I know every time you're on your cell phone. I know every time you're speeding. The technology runs the business, and we're probably running 15 to 20 data stacks. I mean, different technologies. I'm on HubSpot. I mean, there's so many things that we're doing. And COVID really was the time where we had to look around and say, we need more data. And sometimes people get lost in the data. I will fix any company in the world. Literally, I will buy any company. I build my budget off 4 KPIs. What's your booking rate? What's your conversion rate? What's your opportunity job average? What's your CPA, cost per click or cost per acquisition? If I know those 4 things, I can fix any company. The problem is most people don't even have that data, and it's not reliable. If I say, what's your booking rate? Most people go, around 90%. I'm like, mine's 87.4%. I know everything down to the T. The data, the formulas make my decisions. They literally tell me what to be looking at. Many people walk in on Mondays and they're wondering what to do. They're flying blind. They'll never know their numbers. They say if there's enough money in the account, we're doing good. They don't really know. I know exactly how many abandoned calls, how many non-booked calls, how many customer courtesy calls we went on. I know how much gas I'm using. I know if somebody's lying about gas because of WEX cards. It's all systems and data and technology.
Franchisees, franchisors, like this is how franchises should be run. Like you're thinking, if you're thinking about starting a franchise and this is just all foreign to you, you need to look at, knowing this type of stuff and knowing your KPIs, having those KPIs and knowing what it should be and be tracking that stuff. So because how many of these garage door companies that you've acquired didn't have, knowledge of these KPIs or have any sense of really how their business was doing?
Well, that's what's interesting. I decided if I'm going to make this business worth a lot of money, I got to elevate the whole industry. If I'm going to charge the right prices, then I cannot be in this lonesome wolf. I needed to invite people in. There was 40 companies that came in years and years ago. And I wrote down the price of a really nice garage door, insulated, steel back with the best opener. And I said, this costs $1,600. That's our cost. Now, this is before COVID, way before COVID. I said, how many of you guys would charge 10 grand for this on a $1,600 cost? They all looked around, no hands. And I said, how many of you guys would charge 8,000? Because just so you guys know, at this time, a 5-ton unit costs $2 grand. The average price in Phoenix is $14,700. So just so you know, these guys are doing 7.5 times X. So let's apply those numbers to garage doors, 10 grand. And they go, how could you even sleep at night? What are you, crazy? And I go, great question. How many of you guys have PTO? How many of you guys are giving equity to your employees? How many people are doing a 401k? How many of you guys have the best insurance to drive new trucks? How many of you guys got branded correctly? How many of you guys could afford to be on every billboard, every TV, every radio station? How many people could afford to pay their people 6 figures? Some technicians making 300 grand. I go, how the hell do you sleep at night knowing you're holding people in depression mode? That the best guy in your company can make 55 grand. They get no benefits. I go, you keep the AC at 85 in the summer because you can't afford a good, you can't have nice things. How many people are actually taking their people out to eat 3 times a week and cooking for them? And they get to drive a new truck. When we did all these analysis of what people wanted, the number one question with experienced technicians in our industry was, do we get a new truck? That's their office. And so people are driving around, they're saving $1. They don't understand accelerating depreciation. So I had to bring the whole industry up. And so everybody got on service type. Everybody went through Kickcharge to get their brand done. Those are the companies I wanted to do. I wanted a trial to see if they were going to do it. Once they passed that, I made them an amazing offer. I let them roll equity. The money they rolled will be worth more than what they got out. And, now people go, man, Tommy, that's unethical to charge that. And there's 1,000 people that attack those people. They're like, this guy's broke. He's driving a used truck. He can't afford marketing. He's still in the field. I just say this, add up all your costs, all of them, everything, and do nice things. Take people to dinner. Take them to Mexico. We took 61 people to Mexico 2 months or a month and a half ago. Add up everything and be very nice to yourself. Be very nice to your clients, your internal customers, my coworkers, and then add 15 to 20%, and then your price book's born. That's how you price things. And it might not be right. Another company could probably make more money, but they don't have the infrastructure. I could leave town today for a year, and no joke. I could leave for a year and never look at my CRM, and the company would still run fine. And that most people don't have that. They have a job. And I always tell people, I'm like, my infrastructure is so strong. They're like, well, what do you need to do? I'm like, I need to 4X the company in 3 years. I'm pushing the gas. I'm the guy motivating. I'm the guy communicating. I'm the guy looking at new things. But most people, then I'm a different type of CEO. I mean, I'm a visionary. I stay in my own lane. I hire great people. I try to communicate, and I'm not great at it. I mean, we've got a lot of work to do. I never think we've made it. We're a work in progress. I never celebrate. We flip the page. We say, congratulations, great month. First month this year, 700 over EBITDA expectations. February was 500,000. March was 600. This month will be above where we need to be. And I actually built a stretch goal of 10 million above our EBITDA expectations, our budget. And I double everybody's bonus. So their bonus is all 100% of their salary. So if my COO gets it, he's going to get an extra $300,000 check at the end of the year. in the beginning of January. And people are like, how could you afford to do that? I'm like, it's an ad back. You know, these guys don't understand basic tax rules. And a lot of people, they just, if I keep progressing in this manner, there's not going to be any competition. In fact, we might be a monopoly. I got to worry about like the government coming after us because we're running so much more sophisticated. And there's a lot of great competitors and I love competition and I'm not trying to belittle them, but they're just, a lot of them don't care. I got 32 guys here training right next door. And they're like, why are you in here? Why are you here every day? We've never met the owner and the founder. And I'm like, guys, I love you guys. I've been in your seat. I'm going to be in here every day checking in on you guys, telling you guys the stories. And they love it. They eat it up, and I love it. And I'm not some absentee lifestyle business owner. I'm all in. When I see I'm going to do something, I go all in. When you shake my hand, it's a promise.
Why did you become an expert in the industry and kind of expert in home services? Because you got that great Facebook group, and you've inspired me to, I got my Facebook group started because of Aaron Stokes, who's got Shop Fix Academy, and then you. And even to the point where yours is home service experts and, by Tommy Mello, I put, Franchise Secrets by Eric Van Horn because I want people to know that it was my group and I saw that you did that. So I did that. But why become kind of an expert in the industry, give out that content, give free advice, and knowing that your competitors that you'll never buy, are able to get better because of it?
I wrote this book. It's called Elevate, Build a Business Where Everybody Wins. My competitors get to win because we're elevating the industry. My clients got to win. My internal clients got to win. My vendors have to win big. When I sit down with my vendors, I say, show me my product mix and tell me how I can do better. Show me where the most profitable things that you sell and teach us how to sell those things. I need you guys to be well-funded and doing great. I have an invested interest that you guys do great. Now, here's what I'm going to ask, not for a discount. I'm going to ask you guys to open on Saturdays for me. I'm going to ask you guys to stay open 2 hours later for us on Mondays and Tuesdays. I'm going to ask you guys to get my guys out quicker. I do things that I want them to win. I'm not always beating them up on price. I think what's so funny is when my technicians, we built this community and this culture of help that guy do better. Because most technicians go, if that guy does good, he's going to get the best jobs. And that's not what we built here. And I went into Michigan years and years, 2015. I went into Detroit with A1. And I had a guy call me up a year ago. He goes, dude, I hated your guts. He goes, I was so pissed when you came in to Detroit. He goes, since then, I'm making more money than I ever thought possible. I've tripled the company. I'm charging the right prices. I'm on the right software. He goes, you coming into my territory was the best thing that ever happened. He goes, I don't know how it happened, but you let us in. You did a shop tour. You started Garage Door Freedom. You started your event, Vertical Track. And people say it was like, what was that big thing in the 60s, that big festival?
Woodstock.
Woodstock. Everybody said, your first event was like Woodstock for the home services because you said we were allowed to do it. You said you need to know your numbers. You said we could actually hire people and pay them the right amounts. We were allowed to have new trucks. Because back then, first thing I did is when I sat down with a big, spiral notebook and I wrote down, who do I need to be around? And I said, wait a minute, who has the most private jets? And then I started thinking of all my buddies and I'm like, HVAC. So I spent the next 6 years going to every HVAC shop over 100 million. And they invited me and I bought them all lunches, took them to dinner, sat down with the COO, the CFO, the CMO. And they said, dude, you're a garage door guy. You could have everything. Take our stuff. Yeah, you're not a threat. Garage doors are crap. And I was like, tell me more. Tell me more. And then I figured out service agreements. Then I figured out how to sell financing, which we don't call financing, we call it promotions. And then I started investing in myself and technology, and the rest is history. But I still feel like I'm in the fetal stages. I'm just getting started. I'm at the first step. Like I don't feel like this is the beginning, not the end.
You mentioned events. You held your first event. You have another event coming up later this year, right? Tell us about that, because I think people in the franchising world, especially in service right now, need to get out of the franchising world into their industry in a deeper way, or even better, in getting connected with people like you that are kind of broad, in service based. So what's your next event? And like, people are like, I want to know more about Tommy and what he does.
I call it the Freedom Event, freedomevent.com. It's September 25th, 26th, 27th in San Diego. Last year was, it was special. And I said, you're not, I got Jocko there, Steve Sims, Keith Mercurio, Sebastian, Alan Rohr. I've got a guy named Darius Livers, who's a genius. I've got one of my technicians going to come on stage and talk about how his life has changed. We're going to talk a lot about personal success. We're going to talk quite a bit about taking care of your body. I'm not going to, there might be some things that I talk a little bit about Jesus, because I believe in him and he put me here and he could take it away just as quick as he gave it to me. And I did make a deal with him. So I got to come through with what I said I was going to do. But it's becoming the best version of yourself. It's about leadership. It's what I've learned about my events is, yes, there's going to be some motivation. It's going to be like, become the best version of yourself, but that's going to be very tactical as well. What to do today, how to have a morning mojo call, what your Thursday meetings should look like, understanding the technology suite that you should be using, knowing how to grow as a leader, how to build a team. Most people don't even know what an FP&A person is. I have 3 of them. And that's what the event's going to be. And I'm stacking it. I have no holds bar. I've got sounds really cocky, but unlimited money to put into this. So I'll probably spend $2 million. And it's going to be, it will be known as the best event in the home service space. There's some other ones that do a fantastic job. They're buddies of mine. They'll be there. The who's who, the godfathers of the industry, and the up-and-comers are going to be there. And, the vendors are all tried and true vendors. It's not, I don't get behind vendors that I haven't been successful with, that if you're going to be a vendor at my event, if a client calls me up that was there and you didn't respond and you didn't fulfill what you said, you're never allowed at my event again. Like, I'm not just, this isn't a cash grab, because quite frankly, I don't need the money. And money's a great KPI, but, this is about changing lives. It's about being a better dad, a better son, a better mother, better wife, whatever you're looking for. It's about looking in the mirror and smiling and being the best version of yourself and being there for the people that need you, because most of these people don't have a dad. Most of them didn't grow up in a great family. They didn't know how to financially budget. So the employees got to come first. And that's what we're going to talk about at this event.
Dude, I love it. I think I might need to be able to try to make it out to that event. I'm serious about that too.
I love it.
What's your view on vendors, and like, how do you know you have a great one? When do you need to get rid of the wrong one? Talk about vendors, because that's big in franchising. A lot of people have vendors for, the franchisors have multiple vendors for franchisees, or they have, they need to be picking the right vendor for themselves for the CRM, like, Service Titan and whatnot. So talk about vendors for a little bit.
First of all, you go to a large marketing agency and you expect to set it and forget it. And a lot of these guys are doing spray and pray, I call it. They don't really have a plan of marketing. The first most important thing is that you're branded correctly and you are getting phone calls. People are like, well, who do you use for marketing? I'm like, I use 12 companies and I've got 15 internal people. I've got the best at LSA. I've got 3 companies that optimize the GMB. I've got 2 internal and a whole team that do my PPC. I've got a massive strategy for organic. I've got a different company that does Facebook ads, because I go to specialists. I don't go to a jack of all trades. And then I hold them accountable. I say, I use my name and I say, do you know that if I use you and I have success, that I could grow your business 25% alone? And I said, I'm going to hold you accountable. We're going to be on 2 phone calls a week. And I've got a lot of people just go, yeah, I meet with my marketing guy once a month and it seems like things are working. No. I want their top person. I want to get to know them. Do they have kids? What is their goals? What makes them succeed? How do they get promoted? What is their long-term vision? Are they selling the company in the future? Are they going to be buying out other companies? And then we work with them, and I hold them extra accountable. And it's not uncommon for me to A/B test. I'll take a market like Albuquerque or Denver, and I'll bring in another vendor, and I'll say, here's where we're at. If you could beat it, long-term, you could have 3 more markets. I'm always A/B testing. I'm trying new things. I'm never settled. I'm never, I've got it. It's always a constant process. You know, I have a buddy of mine, probably the nicest guy I've ever met, probably the most ethical, the most caring, the best dad, the best husband, a great friend of mine. And he goes, Tommy, I've been studying Google. And I'm like, great. What'd you figure out? And his name's Kellen. And he built this huge company that really put us on the map on Yelp. And he exited that company, kind of a mess. It's a hot mess with his partner. But he says, I started this thing called PinParrot. And I said, well, how much does it cost? He's like, I'll only charge you $600. Let me do 6 locations. It'd be $3,600 a month. So he did it. And my VP of marketing, his name's Robert, goes, dude, what is happening to these 6 locations? I'm like, yeah, I hired a buddy. He's working on them. He goes, we doubled our phone calls from the GMB or GVP. He goes, what in the hell's like? And he looked, and I showed him the pins of the location. So I called Kellen up, and I said, dude, I go, we need all 70 of our locations on this. And these are the things people call me. I was the first one to know about ServiceTitan in the industry. I got on Rilla. I got on Power BI. I got on Chirp. Now we're on PinParrot. And I'm always testing. And Kellen knows, look, dude, if something comes along, like, I'm just going to go to the net. Like, I've got an obligation to the people. So you tell me what you need to continue to forward develop this and make it better and keep getting me results, and I'll go all in with you. And that's what I do. And everybody I just mentioned, like KickCharge or the 7-Power contractor that helped me do the manuals that changed my life, you know, these guys do really well because I endorse them because they're tried and true and I believe in them. So my mentality is I'm very loyal, but I'm always testing and I hold them accountable.
That is franchisors and franchisees. You need to hear that about vendors. It's one of the things that I do at Front Street is for our brands is just I'm always hunting for the best of the best vendors and keeping them accountable. Tell me any last bits of wisdom before I let you go.
So here's the deal. I learned everything I know from going and visiting successful shops, documenting it all and implementing it. So if anybody wants to come to Phoenix and see our shop, see how we train, the one thing that the reason why 47 companies wanted to buy A1 is because they saw this shop and the way it runs and the way we train, the way we recruit. So I decided, I'm going to open it up for everybody. Any business that wants to come, they could bring anybody they want. You go to TommyMello.com/shop. I don't charge for it. I'll give you some books while you're here. I'll answer all your questions. It's my opportunity to pay it back. It really is. What it does for my people is I get to congratulate them. They go and they explain some of my trainers and so, you'll meet my staff. We got to keep the place clean because we've got guests all the time. It kind of kills 10 birds with one stone. And I'd love to have you. So TommyMello.com/shop. If you want a free newsletter, I give the first few out and it costs me about $20 per newsletter with the content I put into it. There's no marketing in my newsletter. There's zero, except for my podcast. There's no like vendors on it. It's all information. We spend weeks each month interviewing me and putting it together and interviewing successful business owners. It's TommyMello.com/news, NEWS. The last thing I'll tell you is the success you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. I think that a lot of the things that you're going for, the things you're trying to do, you got to get up. You have a choice to get up and work out. You got a choice to take today off and spend time with your kids. So don't avoid the important things because before you know it, the decade's going to fly by.
Love it, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Appreciate you, brother. It's good to see you.
Thanks for listening to the Franchise Secrets podcast. Links to everything can be found over at franchisesecrets.com. And if you want my help with anything from starting your own franchise to growing your current franchise business, please visit scalablefranchise.com.